class loader is in Java?
Okay, class loader basically basically a different built-in library project packages which you want to include in your program or supporting to your program.
Okay, can you know the types of class loaders in Java?
Class loaders in Java, Bootstrap, built-in class loaders like
yeah, we have 3.
Yeah, by name. You're asking about name, right?
Names like Bootstrap is one. What of the other?
Bootstrap. I heard about Bootstrap like in theoretical way, and other two one like.
Okay, what is the difference between? Yeah, no problem. What is the difference between abstract class and interface?
Okay, abstract class allow you to write down concrete methods along with your just without body method, just definition of method, and interfaces basically only allow definition of methods. So just you define their method and implementation resides into the implementing class.
Okay, why string is immutable in Java? What is the main purpose of making string as immutable?
String is immutable because string is widely used in the programming. So string is used for password, security purposes, and lot of things. And string is immutable because it doesn't it's having a pool where all the concepts are then references are residing in the stack. So the object which might you are going to acquire again, it will just point it back to that which is value is available in pool. That way this is like immutable.
Okay, what is the difference between string buffer and string builder?
String builder is basically thread safe and string buffer is not thread safe, and it's providing a lot of methods which can't see in the string directly to manipulate and a lot of operations.
I think you are saying in reverse, I guess.
Reverse.
String buffer is thread safe.
Oh yes, sorry, I said string builder.
Yeah. Okay. Can we have our own immutable classes?
Yes, we do.
How we can have? Yeah.
So immutable class do not have setter, so the property you can't set, and your class you can't extend or implement, like you can't inherit those. So your class will be final, your properties will be final, and then your setter method will not be there to set the property, and your constructor will be like taking argument for that to setting the value.
Okay. What is constructor chaining in Java?
Constructor chaining basically you might have more than one argument for a particular instance of that class. So then you can have you can define multiple constructors like with argument 1, 2 and number of arguments. This is constructor chaining, like you may need to pass only one argument, then a respected instance will be getting created with one argument property, and then you can have n number of properties also involved into that instance, and then you can create that also. So this is constructor chaining.
Okay. What is the difference between transient and volatile?
Transient is basically used in serialization. So transient means you want to explicitly do not want something to be serialized. So there you can put a keyword transient, and then volatile basically makes read and write operations from the main memory. So it keeps the synchronization basically of read and write. If a value is there, so it will keep the atomicity basically across the threads. So we use volatile in the multi-threading to make one variable you read and write with the latest value.
Okay. What is the difference between class not found exception and no class definition error?
Okay, class not found basically your class is never got compiled and dot class file is never got created. Definition means the class itself not having any definition. So it's like the class is not available.
Okay. What is the main difference between comparator and comparable, and where exactly we can use them?
Comparable and comparator.
Yes.
Comparable.
Yes.
Yeah, very much. Actually, the prompt reply is very difficult to say, because there is a difference of compare and compare to method. That I can tell you. So basically, we have properties which we want to compare and we want to sort our collection. So there happily this comparable and comparator.
Okay. So what is the difference between wait and sleep?
Wait and sleep. Sleep basically is to tell all the threads that still that thread is having a lock, but it is going to take some time before releasing the lock, so we can put a sleep between executing the next step. And wait basically tells the other methods, other threads that we have to wait until the thread will complete the process, which is actually right now having a lock.
Okay. So did you work on executor framework?
Yes, I do. Actually, I worked on Java 8 where this comparable and future is very heavy along with Akka. But I have experience in past working with multi-threading and executor class in the Springboard.
Okay. What is the difference between executor.execute and executor.submit?
Okay, executor.submit basically submits your thread to for processing, and executor.execute basically takes your configuration of executor, like you mentioned how many number of threads will be there in your executor configuration, and then it executes. Basically, it will execute the thread of all the threads to process something.
Okay. Did you get a chance of working on completable future?
Yes.
Okay. What is the difference between future and completable future?
Completable future works in an asynchronous way. So this is a way to achieve asynchronous programming in Java 8. So completable future returns having two methods, join and get. So basically it creates a asynchronous call to respected operation, and then it joins all the data which is collecting back, and then we can play around with that data which is getting responses back completely.
Okay, good. So what is the exact difference between array list and hash set?
Array list is just storing type of data and in a fashion of a series. So hash set basically having an internal implementation in such a way that it is using hash map, and it is storing the data in again it's showing values, but internally it is also having keys. So hash set basically doesn't allow null also, and array list is different implementation. So like list and map, so difference is itself from there. List is just list of some specific object, and then a hash set is basically having internally hash map implementation, where key is deciding what value should go or whether the value will be added or not.
Okay, good. What is the difference between concurrent hash map and hash map or hash table?
Yeah, so hash table is a Java 6, Java 7 implementation which supports multi-threading. So hash table also is based on hashing. So concurrent hash map is a completely optimized solution where it divides itself using some factor calculation, that it divides itself into segments. So read and write operation into multi-threading environment can be possible at once by multiple threads in concurrent hash map on a different segment. But in hash table, if one thread is taking hash table is blocked by that thread to do processing, and other threads have to wait. But in concurrent hash map, multiple threads can do read and write operation between multiple segments. So this is the major difference between these two. But hash map having internal implementation of bucket, which is nothing but array, and then it's having linked list implementation where it is storing key and value there.
Okay. Did you heard about double checked locking design pattern or double checked locking pattern?
Can you give me some other keywords, because I think this
how to create a thread safe singleton class?
Thread safe singleton class, yes, I know. So thread safe singleton class, first of all, singleton class basically doesn't allow to create another object, so we can achieve that through its constructor. We can check whether instance. So first we create a static instance. So then thread safe class will be, you can add a synchronized keyword before getting your instance initialized. So you can have a get instance method. Inside that you can initialize your object if it is not initialized before. So then it will check whether it is null, a static instance reference, a reference variable of class. So whether it is initialized before or not, it will check, and then it will, if it is null, then it will create, otherwise it will return the same. So that method we can make synchronized, so that way we can achieve thread safe singleton.
Okay, let's move to the Spring. Okay, what is the difference between application context and bean factory?
The bean factory on demand creates the beans. So application context load all the types, all the beans available in the application.
Okay. Can you know how many types of dependency injections we have?
How many types? So dependency injection can be done by setter and by constructor.
Can you know the difference between these two?
Yeah. So when we say constructor, so basically we have the properties of a class which we can inject by using this keyword, and then we can put those into the argument constructor. So we do not define a default constructor. We define a constructor based on properties, and there we define assign it all the properties which. So wherever the bean will be used, it will have all the properties through the constructor. And then setter method basically will have getter and setter. So setter method we will use set like that transformation we will use set this property, set this property. So that way we can set all the properties to, or basically we can transfer to setter method. So this is let's say there is an employee class, then there is an address class. So then address can be transferred via constructor as an argument, or that can be transferred as a setter method. So set address, and then setter address is a separate class.
Okay. What is the default scope of a bean?
Singleton.
Good. Can you know other types?
Singleton, prototype, session, and then session. There are two more, 5. Actually 3 I am very happy.
Request and global systems.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have much on the Spring. Let's move to the microservices. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the main features of microservices?
See, microservices basically are having very small code base, and microservices are improved version of monolithic implementation, and it is easy to scale up. If let's say one of my endpoint is required to scale up, so I can scale it up. So your question was, what are the advantage features? Yeah. So then we basically have layer to layer separation between two microservices. So let's say one. So it basically takes the very minimum business entity, which is like functionality to be delivered by one bundle of code. So one bundle of code could be related to employee data it is providing to someone. So that should be my least business entity which I am delivering from one code base. So then it can mix up with the libraries, database framework. So, and it's also having individual fault tolerance, fault isolation, and process failure will also not impact other processes. Like one microservice is failing, then it will not impact other microservices because we are delivering one business functionality in one microservice. Now the biggest achievement is you may have data level isolation. So data level isolation means you might have different business entities, fetched individually. So your failure of the process will not, impact the other microservices.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the difference between microservice and SOA architecture?
SOA architecture basically is a service and registry. So SOA basically is having three layer of. So I'll talk about microservices because very less I worked on SOA. So microservices, as I told you, these are the pieces. Then in this Springboard we have a lot of things like Eureka server, Eureka, discovery client. So all those is basically used for registering all the microservices. Then one microservice can be used to other microservices. So that way it's like messaging, everything we can enable between the microservices. And SOA basically it's a kind of waterfall, or then it's a triangle way achieving a client and server registry. I simply here have very less knowledge of SOA.
Okay.
Did not get chance to explore it.
Okay, no problem. What are the important features of microservice?
Important?
Sorry, not microservice. What are the advantages of Springboard?
Okay, Springboard is like advanced version of the Spring where heavily annotations is used. So annotation basically reduce the number of lines and number of classes which you might use to which you might create to customize your implementation. So we have lot of built-in annotation. So like in the Spring we were having multiple context controllers to create controller if we do not want to use @controller, but here we have lot of other annotations like package scan, Springboard auto configuration, and then we can introduce lot of data sources using @data source, and then we have lot of connectivity which is built in by reading the properties from the property file, and we can externalize the properties also. So there are a lot of ways, and then all mostly done through the Springboard annotation. So that is the advantage, and another thing is initialization or setting up a base bundle is very easy here, because all the dependencies which are we have to manually or one by one we have to include in form.xml. Here everything you can just get initialized from the SDS or from the io.xspring website. So that way it is it is faster, the development for the developer.
Okay. What is the importance of starter dependency?
Starter dependency basically tells you what kind of application you want to create. So mostly I created REST application. So I need Tomcat, I need web, I need to do HTTP operations. So I need web, Tomcat, and then if I talk about these two, then these two basically the starter basically provide me these all libraries built in with the respective versions. So there are a lot of starters. For JDBC there is starters, and database connections will be having functionality will be available to you. So this is the use of starters.
Okay. What is the difference between web client and REST template?
Web client and REST template. So REST template basically provides you like different operations, and you can create those operations at the level of configuration, like when the server will start, these configurations will be available to make consume any REST or XML based services, and then you can transform the data. So reading the data from the REST application initialize the REST template in the @configuration. And then web client is basically your you without web client is basically not sure what web client is. I think it does this URL parsing.
Okay. What is the difference between put and post method?
Put and post method. So standard says that put method should be used for update and post method should be used for saving the data. But post method can also save the data, and actually that is not a good practice. But post method can be used for getting the data. So it totally depends on implementation. But put and post method are logical differences. That put should be used for saving or updating the data, and post method should be used for saving the data. These are two HTTP methods. Okay.
Okay, now I just want to ignore some of the classes to be auto-configured. How can I add?
So @auto configuration, I can add the attribute that auto configuration false at the very Springboot application level. So then it will not initiate the auto configuration. Then I have to manually I can add whatever classes I want to get added to auto configuration, and number of what type of auto configuration I don't want, I can exclude that.
Okay, what is annotation?
Annotation as in?
For example, I want to ignore one class to be auto configured. Can I know the annotation I'm asking? Any idea?
@auto configuration, then we can pass argument into it.
So what is the argument and what is the annotation?
See,
Any idea?
let me recall that.
Exclude.
Yeah, exclude is the attribute, but
that is annotation.
That is the annotation. Then you can pass in the curly braces your class name. What is the class which you want to exclude? And @enable auto configuration is one.
Okay.
Annotation.
Need to work on historics, resilience.
Not historic, but I work with Grafana, Kibana, Logstash.
Okay. And what is the importance of actuators?
Actuators expose built-in endpoint of matrices. So these matrices basically you can export to your dashboard, which can help you monitoring about JVM, memory, and CPU users and all different. And then you can create your own time-based new matrices, like custom matrices from different endpoints, like how many times that endpoint got hit. So there are default, these metrics gets created based on the time-based databases. So time-based databases could be Graphite, Prometheus, InfluxDB. So these databases, create a set of attributes like what type of display item you can create from it, like histogram or pie chart or what. And then there will be other attributes like how many times the hit happened for this, or how many times exception happened for that particular thing. So a lot of those attributes will be there. Then you can export the time-based data from the database to your restricted dashboard. I think if you are talking about historics, I didn't use that. I didn't find that organization using that in my past experience. But Grafana, Sumo Logic, all these being used, and I have configured those.
Okay, so which database you are familiar with?
I am familiar with Prometheus, Graphite, I have done POC, and InfluxDB we have.
Relational database?
Oh, okay, sorry. These were the time-based database which are used for Grafana integration. And basically the databases, RDBMS databases, I have used Oracle, MySQL, and SQL Server, and then I have some experience with MongoDB as well. And right now I am learning Dynamo.
Okay, so can can I have a query to retrieve the second highest salary of an employee from employee table
Yep.
of last month?
Yeah, we can do that.
No, just give me the, you can just spell it out. No need to write anything. Second highest salary as an employee from employee table of last month.
So first we will fetch the
Yeah, you can give me the query directly. Like select star from.
second highest. Second highest. So first we will take the salary from employee table, and then what we can do basically, we can have, okay, I have only working knowledge, so what I'll do basically, select salary from employee E1, and then basically I'll take the top one from this salary, and then same again I'll do what in the nested query is that from employee 2 I'll again take the salary of how to do that. Anything through. So what we can do.
No problem. And so, did you work on front end also? Or only the back end?
Yeah, a bit in JSP, HTML very early.
No, like AngularJS or React.js kind of thing.
I have working knowledge of Node.js and AngularJS. Like I did modification into existing application, never created from scratch. Like modifications and all I got chance to do, and that working knowledge I have. And I started learning it, but that project didn't allow me to move away from backend to frontend. But due to some unavailability of frontend folks, I did those things. By like this.
Okay, no problem. So you are familiar with the Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker, I guess, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any experience on the Kafka?
Kafka never used, but RabbitMQ, ActiveMQ I am familiar with, because my architectural discussion never went to Kafka to use it. They were fine with ActiveMQ and RabbitMQ.